I have a few minutes driving time to Guaymas. I got to pick up some stuff for the installation of the new fridge. But I wanted to touch up on a couple of things that some of you may or may not find interesting or beneficial or useful. Any of you who are planning on pulling your boat out in San Carlos over and putting in a Marina Seca and having the work done, whether you're going to do it yourself or whether you're going to especially hire somebody to do it. One of the things that I learned the hard way is that I guess I'm a very trusting person, a person that, you know, in my line of business, I'm a contractor. When almost coming from the old school of doing things, you know, when somebody says something, I count on them to kind of hold up their end of the bargain. And I don't know whether it's just cultural, and I might be misinterpreting it. You know, I'm certainly not calling anybody dishonest. That's not the point of what I'm trying to convey here. But I think that the business ethics here are much different than what I'm used to dealing with people in the United States. The big thing that I learned the hard way is that you really can't leave any deposits or any money with the people here and count on them working on your boat or getting the task. And this is not just one person. And I've heard this also from, now that I've kind of opened up the conversation about my experience with other sailors, you know, in more of a conversational way rather than just, you know, having a pitch session. I've kind of learned that this holds true. You can't leave money like I did with the workers here that promise you they will work on your boat. I did that last year. I've been in the yard for 14 months now. I pulled out last January, and I was planning on having the boat back in the water last cruising season, at least in the water, not necessarily cruising, but in the water and enjoying the boat. Yes, I've added a lot of things to it, but I left, I don't know, can't remember, $2-3 grand with the promise that he would be working. He would pull the boat out of the storage and put it into the work yard, and then he would start working on the boat, pulling up the teak decks and getting the sides prepped. So by the time I got here, all, or at least most of the work would have been done. Well, none of that happened. As a matter of fact, not only did none of that happen, from the time period of April when we agreed on the price and agreed on the work to all throughout the summer, I've been emailing him, and it was one thing after another until the point then he said that he needed more money to hire workers because he was really busy. I said, okay, you know, I'll do it. Like an idiot, I sent him more money. And eventually he stopped answering my emails. Yeah, I called the office to ask about what's going on, whether he's still employed. Essentially, he's not employed with the yard because he's an independent contractor. I got the money back. Now, he's still working on my boat. But the moral of the story is that when I came back, it's almost as if nothing happened. There was no awkward conversation about, hey man, sorry I wasn't answering your emails, you know, I got busy, I know I still owe you the money. It was just as if I left the day before and I'm coming back and everything's back in order. So I'm almost thinking that this is cultural, that they kind of tell you what you want to hear, but if you're not here physically attending to the business, to your business, then they take that as an opportunity. Why is this guy stopped? An opportunity to front load other people ahead of you and essentially wait until you come back. Come on, buddy, what's going on? So I just want to, you know, take this opportunity to allow you, if you don't know, the knowledge that if you are coming here to do the work and you're planning on leaving the boat and you're planning on having somebody to do the work for you, don't give them any money. Don't. I'm not saying they're going to take it. Absolutely, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you most likely your work is not going to commence until you are close to coming back. and or you are here physically on the return trip. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that don't be too honest, like bluntly honest, like I am, with your schedule. And what I mean by that is if you tell them you're not splashing for 2 months, your work's not going to start for 6 weeks. Unfortunately, that's the way the world we live in, and you know, just be mindful to your schedule. Know that you're going to need some time for delays, and there's going to be delays in Mexico, whether it's parts delays, whether it's crew delays, whether it's holidays, whether it's, you know, my auntie's uncle, sister got sick and I couldn't make it for a week. Something's going to happen. Don't leave them any money until you are physically here. Also, don't give them more than the materials deposit. And they're going to ask you for the materials deposit. You can't get away from that. I hope that this information is helpful. If you do have any other questions about the inner workings of San Carlos Boatyard, I'll be happy to answer your questions in the comments below. Overall, it's a great yard, good people, good workers. They do a good job. It's just the delays and the fact that, you know, the word mañana doesn't mean tomorrow, it just means not today. So be mindful of that. I'm here at Home Depot. Again, thanks for listening to the long-winded explanation of my situation, and let's get back to the video. What are we doing?
Destroying your fridge, or fridge freezer, or your old one. Yeah. Replacing with a new one.
That's right. Day 2 of demo. We are putting a dent into the project. Bottom's full of water. How saturated is this? I removed the lid and all of its components, the teak that jammed the lid to the sides. And I did that because although I could have used it to support the upper plywood, but it was just too low. So that would take away from my interior space. I'll make little cleats underneath, and I have 1/2-inch plywood that will fill in this hole, and then I can resurface this with Formica. Here it is, project update. We are at a point right now where the fridge is wired in. DC 120 on a GFI, active. Compressor is running. Boom. Got a nice little freezer compartment. That folds up. If you're planning on bringing your boat to San Carlos Marina, Seca, the dry marina, here for work, the back of the compound where I'm at. I kind of like it back here. It's a little bit further to walk to the head, which is all the way forward. I kind of like it here because right now there's not many boats and nobody really bothers me in the back. Not that you get bothered anyway, but the trash bins are right there. You can see horses occasionally graze. On the other side of the fence, you hear coyotes howling at night. If you're gonna have your boat sandblasted, that's where the sandblast pit is. Buenos dias. What's up? This one lost a rudder when it beached last month. It was on the sand on the beach for about 11 days. And then this butte right there, it's pretty much a brand new boat. He's been in the yard for God knows how long, and he works every day. Like seriously, every day, doesn't take any breaks. If you need to get a ladder when you're here, that's right behind the guard shack. The bathrooms, female, male bathrooms. The office is right there. And plenty of parking. One big thing that's happened in the past, kind of evolved in the past week, maybe several days, is that quite oddly, I've never heard of this before, but in a marina, quite oddly, the marina canceled all dinghy dock privileges. Now what does that mean? for what we know right now is that anybody who paid up through April is allowed to park there, but they're not accepting any new dinghy dock reservations, any new dinghy dock fees. So basically, if you're out on the mooring, and as of now, I don't know, maybe that's, I didn't go on the morning net. Today is March 31st. So I gotta get a quick update on that situation because it's evolving, but it really got the community stirred up a little bit. You know, there's a lot of questions of what could have happened, why it's happening, because the people who are on the mooring, on the anchor in the bay, apparently they no longer can park their dinghy on the dock. So causes a problem, obviously, right? How do you get groceries? How do you get water? If there's a couple, you know, 2 sailors, you know, you can drop one person off, do the running around, and then pick him back up, which is questionable still, because I don't know if they're even allowing anybody to pull up to the dinghy dock instead of just tying off, just simply pulling up, loading everything up like a loading zone, and then leaving. So it's going to be interesting to find out. Not only that, but it's also affecting the local businesses. You know, obviously everybody around here that's a business owner thrives on the fact that sailors come to this area and replenish, restock. One thing that I did hear from an undisclosed source close to the business is that the owner, for whatever reason, will allow the people who have an active rental with the marina, which is fine. Okay, I understand that. But what about the people who don't, who are on the anchor? Do they just want them to leave? So anyway, if you're watching this and you're planning on sailing into San Carlos and dropping a hook, please know that there's still ongoing debate of what to do with this situation. There's few people here that are trying to get hold of the owner and have just a sit-down conversation. Some people suggested take legal actions, but which is crazy. We're in Mexico. This is still their own country, and I think that if this was caused by some kind of possibly a situation between the management and the sailors, and this was their response, I don't know whether there's even any kind of legal action you can take other than just basically pissing the people off and making the situation worse. I think that sitting down with the owner and figuring out what exactly happened and having some kind of a adult conversation about, hey, if this is about money, if this is about policing, you know, if something happened, let's figure it out. If it was somebody's fault, let's apologize for it. Let's make it right. Open up a clear channel of communication rather than speculating, losing, you know, being a hothead, because this got to get resolved. I'm going in the water May 2nd at 9 o'clock. I'm not going to have that problem because I'm going to have a slip. But there's a lot of sailors here, and there's probably 24 boats in the bay that depend on the dinghy dock, depend on being able to replenish, depend on being able to come ashore and use the restaurants and stores and provide the local economy with infusion of US and Canadian dollars. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, heading over to Guaymas to a place called Triple, which is a wood store, and I'll do a little bit of filming there just in case you're ever looking for laminate or any kind of lumber. That would be a good place for you to start looking. Home Depot has very limited supplies here, believe it or not. So we hung out with Mark Mulligan yesterday. He's a trop rock singer, and he lives here in San Carlos. He actually tours with some big names. Super cool guy, and I bought a USB stick from him. I told him I don't have any way to play CDs, so he had a USB stick. This song is called Poco Chibambo, and I'm driving to Guaymas, and wouldn't you believe that that's what he's singing about right there. That's Miramar on the other side. It's just spectacular.
Careful, they bite.
I know.
Working on removing the fiddles. These guys right here are called fiddles. Luckily they didn't glue the snot out of it, but nonetheless, these two pieces kind of broke off. I can repair that. So the best way to do this is, I got 1, 2, I already took out these bungs. I got probably another half a dozen more. Take usually a center punch, score it right in the center of the bung, Forstner bit, 3/8, that'll lock it in place. You're not going to get much out of it because the screw, you want to kind of rotate it a little bit. Boom. This little tip gets hung up on the face of the screw head, but that's enough. And then you take the little pick and very carefully, kind of controlling it with your finger, you just pick out the plug. Again, there it is. Flat head. My son's turning 13 in a few days on April 8th. April 9th, my other son is going for selection, special operations in Kentucky. Super proud of him. But my youngest, 13, he was just here. Super big help. Helped me install this. I'm sure that's going to be in the video. Somebody told me at the age 13 that by the time I turned 50, I would have been married twice with 2 kids, single, on a boat in Mexico. Would never believed him. At 13, we were escaping Poland, communist Poland, 1986. Yep. Old man woke me up in the middle of the night. Cold January morning. It was snowing. I said, let's go. We're leaving. I didn't know what was going on. I knew we were supposed to leave Poland, but I didn't know when. He had everything packed. It was literally 3 o'clock in the morning. Had everything packed, put me in the car. It was a blizzard outside. And we headed for West Germany, so we had to drive from Wrocław to the East German border on a fake passport for both of us. And that part I didn't know. I found out about that later, that he had to pay off a government official in order for us to be able to leave Poland, since it was controlled by the Russians. We were lucky enough to cross the East German border, still a blizzard, and we headed for West Germany. 13 years old, broke down in Germany in our car somehow. I don't remember how we came out of it. Arrived in Germany 2 days later, West Germany, Hanover, where my mom was already living. And it was a whole different world, man. Never seen a lot of things that people take for granted in the United States. It was the first time I saw a pineapple. Coconut, kiwi. Everything was on the shelves. We had nothing on the shelves. We were given rations. My parents were given square, like a tab this big, with little squares that you ripped off eggs, butter, shoes, whatever you need, cosmetics, hygiene stuff, meat, and you would rip that off, stand in a long line. Hopefully by the time you get inside, they still had it. I remember many times going into a store and there's just nothing on the shelves. Nothing. It just blew me away when we came to West Germany. It was like, oh, this is how people should live. Yeah, that's all at 13. America is the greatest country in the world, and we are fortunate enough to have those privileges. Finally came off, and with very minimal damage. I can, this little boo-boo right there, but that's kind of behind the stove anyway. I'll use a wood pen to cover that up. Ay, Dios mío, muy bien. And some oysters. Gracias. Muchas gracias. Otra cerveza, por favor? Sí, 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 rojo. Gracias. So we're gonna dig into that. Boom. Almejas, chocolate, y oysters on the half shell. Beautiful. Not sure if it really gets any better than this on a Sunday. Unbelievable place. I cannot express my gratitude for places like this still left in the world. Love Mexico, the Mexican people, the land, the food, the beer. The seafood is just unbelievable. Just these moments in life where you just are thankful and grateful for the opportunity to be able to live each day in the moment. You know, memories like this just burn into your mind, and you just don't want it to end. Oh, the seafood here is so good. These chocolate clams, they're so fresh. You taste the seawater in them. With lime. You chase it with a cold Mexican beer. It's just delicious. I'm the only gringo here. Everybody else is Mexican nationals. This is Holy Week. It's April 2nd today. This entire week is called Semana Santa. So a ton of people, like thousands, converge onto San Carlos. It's kind of like the spring break location. So this whole week is going to get pretty crazy. It's already crazy over at Doña Rosita, where I normally go. I just pulled up to the parking lot and saw more cars I've ever seen. So I decided to come here. This is the second time I've been here, and I don't know if I like it better, but maybe I do. It's right on the sand, and it's a little windy today, but you know, the wind still is kicked up for another probably few weeks before it starts turning super hot. And it's very Mexico. And what I mean by that, you got the palapas, the thatch roofs, the bamboo, the wood construction right on the sand. So definitely the vibes here. Absolutely love it. Cheers.